Hi everyone, and welcome to this code session on Redux with React.js. We will try to understand the theory behind React. So I wish you all hear my sound. So let me take this slide over here. So in this course, we are going to learn and understand how Redux works with React. And a little bit about me. My name is Hidayat Aragandabi, and I'm a master degree student in computer engineering with experience in blockchain and machine learning. I have worked in algorithmic programming at the same time. I will be also following the comments beside in the other screen. So I'm working as a full stack developer for the last 4.5 years. I'm working actively in modern JavaScript for the last 4 years, mainly in React.js, Angular, and Node.js, Express.js, and especially TypeScript. I have been working with ASP.NET Core for the last 5 years, and today I'm here to teach you how to make things easier. So that's what we are gonna do today. So yeah, so let's set our expectation from this course. So probably everyone who is watching this course is a software developer or starting to be a developer. So we will upgrade this channel as we grow, and I will bring other software developers from different countries at the same time to share their stories so that we can create a large community. And we are trying to make things easier to understand and interesting to learn. So learning something new is a hard process, but it can be made easier by learning things in simple way and practicing. And here I want to give a promise that I'm going to deliver and teach you in the easiest way possible. But if you have any question, you can just drop your question in the comment section so that later I can answer. So let's get started. As I told you, this session is going to be 1 hour. So in 1 hour, I'll try to help what Redux is. So that's it for the PowerPoint. So Redux is a predictable state container for JavaScript apps. So Redux is not only to be used with React, it can be used with all JavaScript applications. Okay, so here is the Redux repository in GitHub, and it has been used by almost 1.4 million people or developer in the community. So here is how to install this Redux library to your projects, and how to learn and some fundamentals and some projects. How is Redux working, and some examples, some source codes, and some stuff. So actually for a beginner developer or someone who is learning the developing skill, it's very hard to learn right from here. So I'm gonna teach you point by point. So you can go to GitHub and my username. I recently wrote a library for this. Let me get into my repositories, and here it is. So I will get into the commits, and here each commit is representing a title. So how I create, store, reducer, and how I dispatch an action, and how these actions work. How the Redux code is written clean, and reducer, how we separate reducer and stuff like that. So at this point, I will just get into the coding and I will just start coding together with you based on each title I have placed here. So after you can open this title and you can see what I have done here. So in the previous state of this project, or this title was such, and then I added such things. So in case you miss a part, then you have a chance to go and check from here. Okay, so I just getting to my coding screen, and here is the Redux documentation. It is providing a very good place to start at the same time. For now, I will keep this web page open, and first I would like to talk a little bit about Redux. So Redux is a very simple state library. Suppose you are a user, so I'm talking on React, so based on that, the user interface is providing an action. So you are hitting an action, for example, bring the user list, or bring the product list. That's an action. The action is given to the reducer and with the current state, and the reducer is asking the store to retrieve the data to UI, and UI is constantly listening to the store so that it gets data from the store. Whenever the UI receives the data from the store, it's refreshing or re-rendering itself. So why we use Redux? Normally, when we work without Redux, we have to pass props from one component to another component. Suppose we have a parent component over here, and we need to pass something to the child component, and then from that to his child component. So this process is done, props is coming from here to here, and then from here to there, which is not a good practice. This is called component drilling. So for that, they created Redux to have a shared database kind of thing, so that each component, whenever need a data, can go and ask the store for data. So that's this way we will have solved this problem with the component drilling. Now, Redux has some principles. You can read this article. I have placed the link to the article under the video. So we have three things in Redux. The first one is action, and then reducers, and then store. So store is basically the database for the Redux project. So let's get started and creating a project. So I'm not going to create a project and the VS Code or something like that. I will use a sandbox so that you are able to use them in your future. So I go here and search for React sandbox online. Or maybe I can't say this, React sandbox. That's good. So it will give me a sandbox created for React already. Yeah. So actually I can just make the screen normal first. So this is basically a React project created for us. So let me generate the view. Okay, so we will create our project from here, and we will install the dependencies and everything in here. So let's get started. So first I will go and create a new component. It is going to be counter.js. So, and I will create a basic component over here. So just give me a second. Okay, so we'll create a React component. Let me see if there are any tools. Okay, so we'll create a component by import. I will do this a bit faster. React and the component 100 from React. That's great. And then we'll say export alt as counter extends component, and this is going to render and return. So maybe h3 element, which I'll say counter component is working. If there is any problem with my voice, you can give me a comment. So I'm basically now I'm not getting any comment, so it means you are getting my voice properly. Okay, so we created our component here. Let me save it. So I just saved my component, and I come to app.js and import my component. Import counter from counter.js. And here I don't need these things, so I can clean these things and I can say counter. Yes. So basically, as you see now, my component is working. Now I will put some stuff in here, a counter in here, which will be basically related to which will be a small React application. Then we will convert that React application into Redux. So let's get started to that. So I will go to this counter.js. I think I should screen a bit. I should increase the. Let me see if I can do that. So yeah, I think that's much better for now. So you can see much closer. So I will come here and I'll create. It will return a div, and this should return a div. So let me make it this way. So this div is going to have a button. Now first, let me put an h3 element. And again, I should close that h3 element. And I will put a counter here. And this counter will show some values. Maybe I can put 0 for now. And then I should have a button, a very normal HTML element. So that's gone. So this button is going to have a name. So let me say up, or maybe that can be a name for this for now. And I will copy this button at the same time. So let me name this down and name this reset. So we will press these buttons and they will go up and down in this way. So I'm going to have a style at the same time. Let me copy this style because I already made it. So this is going to be a style for the button. Let me name it button style. I will give here as a style. So this is going to be the button style. I will pass it in here. And I will copy this for each element. And then I will save it. Let's refresh this page. So we have 3 buttons. I just applied a simple CSS to these buttons, so which is something very normal when I just give some styling. Now I am going to have a state over here because I should put this number on a state. So I come here, I just create a state variable. So friend state is just a variable where we put data, and then we can manipulate the data inside the state, and our UI is going to listen to that state. Whenever the data in the state is refreshed or changed, according to that, the UI is re-rendered in React. That's the basic thing about the state. So we have a state, and state we have a variable called count. And at first I'm gonna set this count. So this is like a variable. Think of it like I have a variable called let data, and data equals to 0. But this is an object. Keep it in mind. So this is like, I think that would be more better if I write const data, and data equal is like count equal is 0. So this state is something like that. Very normal, very easy. And now I want to write this, whatever is inside the state. We have inside the state object. I want to write it in here and place up this 0. So I will clean this. I will just open a curly braces, and I will say this is actually corresponding to the class. So when I say this, it means the class up counter. This means the counter class dot state dot count variable. So we got it. So if I make this 5, it's gonna go, and this is this means that go to the counter class, whatever class you are currently located, go to that class, that parent element, and finds its states and count element. So this is how this thing's gonna work. And then I need some actions, some handlers to, when I press this up, down, and reset button, whatever is going to happen, I need to write some handler for them. So for that, I'm going to have an increment handler. This increment handler will not take any parameter, because state is a global parameter inside this component. And this set this dot set state. This dot set state method allows us to set a state. So I'm gonna say go and set the state variable, which is count, and it should equal to this dot state, the previous state, dot count plus 1, because I want to increment by 1. And that's it. I did a mistake. This should be outside the render function. I should just move it here. Okay. Now we will copy the same function, and this is going to be decrement, and it's going to be decrementing by 1. And we are gonna copy the same function, and this is going to be reset handler, and this reset handler is going to set our count by 0. So let's save this thing, and we will use them in here with onClick. So onClick, whenever the up button is clicked, go and call the increment handler. So this belongs to the class name and increment handler. That's it. Let me try if I can close this part. Okay, that seems more good. So, and on click this dot decrement handler, it will call the decrement handler. Let's try this. So it starts with 5, and we press the up button, and it goes to 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and go on. And with decrement, it's working. So I'm going to come here and also press on click this dot reset handler. So yeah, this is how it's worked. Very easy, very fluid. No problem till yet. So this, now we just created a basic React app, very basic React app. Now we will go and convert this basic React app to Redux. We will just take this app and put it in the Redux. So yeah, now I will just go and convert this app to the Redux. So for that, I need to install the dependencies that are important for this project, which will be Redux and Redux React libraries. So I will go and install here. Normally, when you are working with VS Code, you would have to install this via yarn or npm from npm package managing. So in here, I will just go to let me open this file explorer, and here I will say Redux. I just need to press this. It's gonna put the Redux, and then React Redux. So I just put both of React Redux and Redux library is here, and React Redux is here. So that's it. I can close this back, and then I need to go to app.js. So I will come anyway. App.js is open here, so I don't need this part anyway. So in app.js, I have to import this. Import create. Let me make it brown. Redux, and I want to import the create store. This is the first step. The first step is to create the store. Friends, now I am in this part. I am trying to create a store, the very first part. I'm here to create a store. So from store, we can dispatch an action, subscribe to an action, get a state. So that's we are gonna do now. So I just create the store, and now I need to have a function called reducer. Reducer is nothing but a function. For now, it's gonna just I just want to it do a console log for me that reducer works, for example. And I need to have an initial state where the app to start. So I need to have initial state. It's going to be an object, and I will put a count in here, which will start from 0. So this function will also return initial state. That's good. And now we can go and create a store. So we will do it in here. Later, I will move them to another file, another directory. So const store, which is equal to create store function, which we imported from here, from the Redux dependency. And it will take a parameter called reducer. So our Redux store is created by taking a reducer. So reducer is a function which tells store the current state and the action. For now, I didn't put the action over here. I'm just giving the current state. So, and then I want to do a console log, and I can say connected to the store to know that I'm connected to the store. And I want to write the current store current state. So I can use get state function over here, and that's it. I can save this file. So I'm going to the console over here, and let me clean this console first, and let me just do a save here. So console to run. Let me run the application from beginning. So as you see, the reducer works. It hit this function, and then we are connected to the store. And what's inside the store? Inside the store, we have a variable, or we have an object called count, which is 0. So this way we just created our store and our first reducer, which is very easy. Now we are going to dispatch an action from the reducer. So we will just go to that. So as I told, our reducer gets state and an action. So now let's go and implement this. Our reducer takes state. If we don't provide any state, it will take the initial state. Okay, and we are expecting an action to come to the reducer. So now the reducer doesn't need to return an initial state. It can return the state coming to it. That's very good. And now we are going to try an action, dispatch an action. So I'm gonna come here and put a comment line in here. Reducer is called with new action. So we are going to say hey store dispatch an action for me, and the type of action should be increment. So I'm just saving this. Before I do anything, you can see reducer work connected to the reducer, and it is dispatching an action again coming to here. So this is how it's working. Actually, I can clean here and save this again. Let me do a refresh to this app. So it's calling again the reducer function to dispatch the action. From now, we can go and dispatch an actions on the reducer. We are continuing on the same subject. So let's create some actions over here inside the reducer. We should have actions to call for it. So we'll put an initial, a switch case over here. We are going to switch our action according to the types. Then we are going to test the below method again. Can I move this to the top? It will be more clear. So we will say case if the case is increment, then return the object of count with state. What is state? Let me explain. State was this thing. So state dot count, it means this variable plus 1 in case if it's incremented. And that said, I need to copy this and put here for decrement at the same time. So let me see what the problem in here is. So it is telling me there is no column between these two lines. That's good. So now what's the another mistake? Expecting the default case. Okay, switch case should have a default case. So in default case, I am just returning the state. So I can remove this, and now this will be decrement, and it will -1. So I have let me explain this code very clearly first to move to the next code. So inside the reducer, I'm expecting an action. So when I call dispatch, it's going to the store and going to the reducer, and it's telling, okay, I got an action, and the type is increment. So, and then the switch case is gonna check which switch case to hit. Suppose it's an increment, so then it's going to return a new count with +1. So let's get started. Let me clean this part, and then before increment, I am printing the store. Now I will do some increments. I'm doing one increment. another increment, and now I will print the store. So let me not, yeah, let's stay in this way. So I think, yeah, let me clean this part so I can explain from beginning. Let me refresh this output screen here, and please pay attention to the console. So the reducer is started the first time, and we are connected to the state, and the count is 0. Now we are dispatching an action. Dispatch means that I'm running an action. So I'm running an action of type increment. Okay, so it's calling the reducer, and it is telling I have an action of type increment. So then this case is going to hit, and it's going to return the current state count, which is 0 plus 1. So now after this step, my count is going to be 1 again plus 1. So now I should have 2. So let's check it in here. So our first count is 0, then our reducer has started working again, and I have dispatched 2 actions. So each action has incremented the count variable by 2. Now I'm copying this and printing here. Now if you see, it's going to be by 3 because I'm not printing the state. Let me print the state. See, now we have 3. I'm copying the same line and make it decrement. Now we had 3 increments action, then 1 decrement, so our count is 2. It's very easy. This way we are dispatching actions, but of course we are not going to use this. I'm just showing you for the learning purpose. Now we can move to the next title, which is we will move this dispatching to a separate class. So because we should follow the rules of solid pattern. So what solid is saying, each class, the S is single responsibility, so solid. So single responsibility is telling me that each class or each element should do a specific job. So that's why we should apply solid to our codes. I'm trying to follow the titles at the same time so that it's very important for me to help you. Now, friends, normally I put this code in app.js, but this code shouldn't be an app.js. This should be an index.js. I did this to make this application very clear. You can put it in here, there's no problem. So I'm cutting this code from here. I started from here. Import create store, up to here. So I'm just cutting this. I'm cutting this and bringing app.js to its old form. And I'm coming here to Explorer and opening index.js, and I'm closing this back. So I'm putting it inside here. Nothing changed. Everything is as it was working. But now you may ask me that, okay, come on, we should not put this code to index.js because we are going to dispatch actions from our components, which is a very good point. Now, we are going to read the data from the store. So we just created some store kind of thing, and we just played in the console log, but we should do this. Yet my component is not related to outside. If you look at the structure of my component, yet I'm playing with the state. I'm not playing with the Redux store. I'm just like independent of it. So the first point is to read the data from store. And I have showed you how to read the data from store via this command. Get store.get state. Each time we can read the store variable or the store mini database. Now I will go to my code back in the counter.js, and I will clean this part because I'm not going to use the state. For now, I'm cleaning this inside of these actions. So I'm just saving it. My actions are clean. No matter what I do, not working. Great. And on click can stay for now. I will go and read the data from the store. So for that, I need to use the connect function. I'm going to tell React, connect me to the Redux store very easily. So I just come here, import something from React Redux. That's good. And this something is going to be the connect function. If we come on connect function, it is just giving us some small tips. So now I need to connect my class or my component class with the Redux store. Okay, so I have to clean this part. I need to wrap this component with the connect function. So this was how we importing our component very easily. I just cut the small introduction for the class, which was export default class counter. I just brought it down in here. It's very easy. Now we need to use the connect function. So this connect function is going to wrap counter component. This connect function is taking two parameters. Think of the connect function as a complex function in math, like f of, I wish I could write it, f of x, but now f of g of x. It's something like that. So the connect function is waiting for something called map state to props. This function is saying, okay, connect my counter component to the store via the connect function. So I need to have this function now, another function. Okay, very good. The function should be map state to props. It is expecting something called state. I am expect something is coming to me from the Redux store, but that can be a state. Like you can name it whatever you want, but it should be state, of course. And I should return what is coming to me from the state. Let's go, friends, and here from get state we are having count. So count is coming to me. Okay, so I'm coming back to here. Let me check the comment section if there is any comment. Okay, we don't have any comments yet. So return. So if there is no comment, I'm just continuing back. So we are saying we are giving a key value. So I am expecting a count which will come to me from the incoming state dot count. Very easy. What does this mean? It means, let me write here, it will receive the state from the Redux store. The state will be the object within count property, and we will return an object. We will return an object for specifically this component with the key value count, and that will be having the number. So now we can reach this via inside. Let me make it like that. Inside count component, we can reach this property via this dot state dot count. That's how it's going to be. So I'm coming here. This dot state is going to be changed with this dot props. count. Oh, we got a problem now. Let's read our error. React errors are very intelligent to help us. Could not find the store in the context of connect function with the counter, either wrap the root component with the provider. Now it's telling me your root component is not wrapped with the provider. So we need to change that. We will come here and we need to have a provider. We need to tell React that this reducer is going to be for everyone, this Redux store, for all components. It's going to behave as a provider. From React Redux, we are going to import the provider class. Now we need to wrap this React this app, which is my main component, with the provider. So provider, and again here provider. And now this provider function needs to get the store. So my store is going to be the store which I have created here. And let me move it aside. So if you see, we had 3 increment and a decrement. So then the value which is coming to us is 2. So I can write here a console log. I can say the incoming props, or maybe the incoming, that's going to be good, incoming props. And now I can say this dot props. Let me see which props are coming to me. I am, as a props to this component, I am getting a count variable and a dispatch. Dispatch is used for the actions. Okay, that's good. We have no comments yet. Now we need to update our increment and decrement part so that we are done. So we just read the data from the store. Now we need to call the actions. We just read the data from the store, right? So if I go to this index.js and I clean this last decrement, then we would have 3 increments. And let me clean this console log too, because I don't need them, the console logs anymore. So we have 3 increment dispatches. Our counter is 3. Let's clean one more. We have 2. So now we need to call the store dispatch inside the counter component and these actions. So that's why we are going to call actions from store. We just call the data from store. So I'm going to say, as I know, as a props, I am also receiving the dispatch object, or let me call it the dispatch function. So I'm receiving an object as a props, which is a counter variable, and a dispatch. So what is inside this dispatch is a function. So I can call that this dot props at dispatch. Type of action increment, right? So I'm just saving it. I'm clearing my thing. I'm pressing it. Can you see it's dispatching my action? 9, 10, 11, 12. And the store is updated for everyone, not only for this component. The count variable is updated for everyone because we are printing this console. We can have a console log over here also. So log store. Let me make it store. Store is a global object. So let me make it store.get. So as I update this, can you see the capital? The store is also updated, but since it's run once, I cannot push it at the same time. Anyway, I can clean this part. Not important. Now we can go and make this for other increment. Let me save this. I don't have any function for any dispatch action for reset. So let's go and create one for reset in here. Before creating the reset, I would like to tell you something. Suppose there is no action type for reset, so that's gonna hit the default state. Let's make it, then we'll come and create it. Let me copy this line and press it in here, paste it in here, and let's call the reset. Save it. And reset is doing nothing. It's basically returning the same state. A state is not updated, it's returning the default, return the current state. So I'm going to copy this line and I will go and I will make it reset. And this is going to reset this to 0. And now I have the reset. So let's go up, down, and reset. That's a good implementation. This is how Redux actions can be called from the store. And I am just in my 55th method, 55th minute. So I will now the point in here is, guys, we have some magic strings. Like we need to get rid of these magic strings, and we need to separate the reducer. So let's first separate the reducer class, or the reducer function, and let me call it the reducer function. Class is wrong. I'm sorry for that. Let's create the reducer function. I don't need any more state because it's coming from outside. Let me save this. Let me create here a new file with the name of reducer.js, or maybe you can call it counter reducer.js. You can call it counter reducer too. I have this reducer.js, and this reducer.js, I will create some actions at the same time. So I don't want those magic strings to disturb me, so I will create some actions at the same time in here. Action.js, and I will just put some actions over here, some variables, export const increment, which will return me increment. I don't want to use the magic strings, it's disturbing me, so I don't want to use these magic strings. So let me make it decrement. First, let's get rid of these magic strings. Reset, and then let's go to the counter.js and let's import this port from that action. So we are going to import increment, decrement, and reset. I try to not use to the magic strings. They're creating problems. So increment, not a magic string but a variable, decrement, and reset. Oops. So what I basically did here, I created a file called action.js. Oh, there's a problem. I need to make this like string. So I created a file which is returning me some strings, and I just get rid of the magic strings. Now there's no strings, only variables. So these are called from action.js, and action.js have these stuff. So my app is working. That's good. Now we are trying to completely isolate the reducer. So I just come here in the reducer, and I'm creating a reducer for myself. So I will go to the index.js and cut all this code. I'm sorry, I'm taking this reducer function over here, Control X, and I'm coming to the reducer and pasting over here. Okay, and I need to have the initial state. Okay, we are gonna cut the initial state from the index.js, and we will paste it in here. That's very good. So now, since there is going to be one function, so I don't need to use this. I can use this export default. So, and this is gonna give, it's gonna return these things. It's just an assumption. So I just isolated my reducer class, but now the app may crash because it cannot find the reducer in the index.js. So I will import the reducer. Import reducer. I'm going to import the reducer from the reducer class. Import the reducer from reducer. And this reducer is just given in here. Everything is cool so far. I think I don't need these dispatches at the same time, so I can clean these two dispatches. I'm deleting it. Very clean. This is my index.js, very clean. So I don't know why it's installing the dependencies for me again, but anyway, we can wait for this app to run. For now, we just created some basic stuff, but there is a problem with this app. Let me explain you that. It's the last step. There is a problem with the app. Let me make it close like that. I don't know why it's okay. So the problem with the app is that we are dispatching actions from the components, which is not good. Actually, I can have those actions and action.js. That's more good than having those actions in here. So I will go and put the actions and action.js to make it more precise and clean. So this is not a good implementation at this point. So I have to go and put these dispatch actions and the actions JS. So let's go and build these actions and the action.js, right? So let's go to action.js and create export const an action of type increment function, which will not take any parameter, and it's going to return what? It's going to return an object with the type of increment, right? So I'm creating three functions. So here's the decrement. Here is the reset function. This function is going to return decrement, and this function is going to return reset. So I just created three new functions, ECMAScript 6 functions. Okay. So now we just created this, but we need to clean them, and we need to import those actions. So how are we gonna do that? We need to tell the store to connect us. We have this connect function. Now this takes another parameter, that is map me to a dispatch to props. This was used to read the state from the store. This is going to be used to read the actions from the store. So I will tell here, I have an object const that's mapped to dispatch props, and this object has three actions. Now we need to import these three actions from the action.js. We don't need these things anymore, but I will clean it at the later phase. I'm going to import some new things called from same action, and they will be those function. Now I'm not importing, guys, I'm not importing any variables. These were variables, if you remember, const increment equals to increment. If you come to action.js, I was importing variables and I was doing this dispatch action on the component. Now I will import the functions to make it more precise. I will come here, increment, see, function that return a type of string, increment and reset. Sorry, this should be like that. And I'm saying my map dispatch to props is waiting for 3 functions. The same things I did there, reset. And I pass this as a parameter to the connect function. And this connect function is wrapping the counter. Now I don't need this part. I'm cleaning this part. And I'm going to call this.props but increment. No dispatching anymore. This.props decrement as a function. This.props reset function. Okay, so I'm just saving it. Now if you check the props coming to this component via the console log, we are receiving a count, we are receiving an increment function, we are receiving a decrement function, we are receiving a reset function. So our counter is moving on, we are dispatching the increment, we are dispatching decrement, and we are dispatching the reset. So this part was very important. We went to the action.js, we created function that return an object of type actions, and now we don't need to export them, right? We never need to export them, but we need to export them for reducer class, so it can stay like that. But we are not going to use them in the component. I need to do a final touch. I have some magic strings over here which I need to delete, so I will also import those variables from here which were increment, right? Increment, reset from action, and now I don't need these magic strings. Magic strings are killer for our app. Increment, decrement, and reset. No magic strings. That's it. Okay. Clean reducer class. That seems good. Seems good. I can remove this space so that you can see it more precisely. That's good. Let's try if it's working. Yeah, we are done. No problem. Okay, guys, so that's it. Now I'm going to make a second session of the same class probably next week or the week after this, and that class I will explain. We will go and we will run. We will take data from a web API, and then we will have, as we have 3 state in this reducer, like in case of increment action, do this thing. In case of decrement action, do this thing. Then we will have fetch data when the data is received, when the data is on the way to receive, when the data has come, when the data is rejected, when the incoming data has error. So we will talk on that stuff too. So till then, have a good time, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so we can bring more things and we can add more values and time and invest our time, valuable time, to this YouTube channel. So have a good time. and don't forget to share this video with your friends. And if you have problem in any part, you can ask me. I'm going to share this code sandbox below the video link, so you can download, you can play with it, and you can find the codes in my GitHub repository. Don't forget to go to my GitHub repository. From here you can find everything regarding to the code. Here's the code sandbox, and you can play with it. It's completely free, and you can read my articles regarding to the store and actions. So action was any event, finally, to be precise in summary, and reducer were like a meat grinder. We were putting meats, onion, and stuff like that, and it was just cutting it for us. And the store was the person who was providing the data to the user. So meat. So action is the meat or the onions, and these were the meat grinder, and to make meatballs, suppose. And action was the meal which is served to the user. So read this article. I'm sure it's not hard, and you can follow my blog at the same time for more articles. So have a good time, and see you in the next videos. Bye bye.